Of talk about climate change, but our local winemakers are seeing the effects of the drought and extreme heat in action as they harvest this year's crop. And no one understands how the land is changing more than Tony Couturri. He makes wine the old-fashioned way with literally nothing but grapes, as you can see there. And our KPIX5's Wilson Walker shows us what he is seeing on the vine.
So this is the estate Zinfandel. Listen. Here.
Third-generation winemaker Tony Couturri has his hands and ears on his 2022 harvest.
You can feel the hot spots and the cold spots, so you're kind of homogenizing.
It is another year that will be defined by extremes.
It's going to be for lovers of really intense red wine, which there's not a whole lot of us left, you know? I mean, it's very, very, very old school. The vineyard was planted in 1974, irrigated 2 years to get the young rootstock going. So it's 46 years old without a drop of water put on it.
Tony watched these vines go in the ground, and as a kid in the 60s, he planted the trees that have now grown up around the fencing.
It's to see these kinds of fundamental changes that you kind of always hear about them, you know, and it's kind of, ooh, cool. But then to actually witness it in your time, soil as opposed to when we started, it was a very clay-based. It's starting to break up. It's starting, you know, in 50 years, I can visually see a change in how the soil is growing or how the soil is developing.
And the trend, he says, is warmer and drier. The September heat wave cost him about 1.5 tons of the expected 4-ton harvest.
So this year, it got up to 119 here. You see all the raisins down there. So that got burnt off. But in other cases where there is fruit approaching ripeness and then the heat wave hit, it just desiccated the whole thing.
It all means fewer grapes, bigger wines, and more economic pressure, but that is not the biggest challenge.
Fire has become kind of the overlying factor in terms of living in this place.
Last year, the drought was so extreme that some of the vines just didn't produce grapes.
Sonoma State professor and master of wine Liz Thatch says all of the changes ultimately mean more cost, adding to a press, especially on California's some 4,000 small family vineyards.
You know, if you have smoke tank one year and another year you have extreme heat and alcohol